Hi guys, and today I'm going to kind of launch into a series talking about how to create your own self-hosted social network based on WordPress. So this is going to be over a series of videos, and we're going to go over many things, including theming your social network, which is going to be good for those who wanted to know a lot about WordPress theming, because that was one of my third most popular video. So I think a lot of people will be interested in that. But this is based on WordPress, so we'll be able to talk about some WordPress theming stuff along the way. And we're gonna talk about how to do loads of cool social networking stuff with your WordPress site. So let's kind of put some provisos on it first. Obviously, as we are using WordPress, it's going to be a heavily blog-focused social networking site with one master blog with articles, and then a social network off that where people can have their own blogs and their own groups, post videos and things like that, and they're going to have the full control of WordPress if we so desire them to. So the first thing we need to do is install this package called WordPress MU, WordPress Multi-User, and that's what we're gonna do today in this particular iteration of the series. So that's fun. But the first thing I want to talk about is, if you're going to create a social network, there's no point creating the next Facebook or the next Twitter, because people can already go to those websites. So you have to make something really specific. I'm not going to create anything that specific because this is just for demonstration purposes. But what I'm saying is that if you're making a social network for real, there's no point making a carbon copy or trying to make a carbon copy of something else, because you'll fail miserably and you'll just look like an amateur. So with that off my chest, I also want to say that if you're going to create a social network, then you obviously expect to have lots of user-generated content on your website that you can't control to a certain degree, because that's the beauty of a social network, letting the users run the roost. You're going to have a web host that can handle a lot of bandwidth and has a lot of space. So with that in mind, today we're going to install the core software that we're going to use, called WordPress MU, to create the base. Now we're going to obviously expand on this in future videos. So the first thing we need to take a look at is I have first got set up a host with MySQL and PHP. They're minimum, pretty standard requirements for most content management systems these days. Also note that I've got a project area set up at www.tom-rogers.com/social network. Now this isn't going to be a production network, obviously. It's just for demonstration purposes, so I can build something cool and show you guys along the way. So I'm just gonna open up Coda, because I'm gonna use that as our FTP software. And if I just connect to my server, so the first thing you're gonna need to do to install it is connect to your server, and this is just the way that I particularly do it. So, like I was just saying, if we go back up to the root of my server, I've got a social network directory which I'm at in my browser, and like I was just say, we're going to use it there. So that's where we're going to put all the files. If you were doing this in a production environment, you'd likely put the file at the root, but because I'm doing a demo and that's a production website, I have to offset it into a different directory. So logically, the first thing we should do is go and grab ourselves a copy of WordPress MU, which, as I've said many times, is the software we're going to use to do it. And I'm going to download a .gz file because it's just a little less cumbersome there. While that's downloading, we can get prepared. So, like I said, we're going to need a MySQL database. So, I happen to have cPanel here for my domain, which you probably will as well. And we're just going to go down to our cPanel management. So I'm going to hit cPanel databases here. And I'm going to create a new database at which I wish for my social network to reside. So I'm just going to call it social, and it's added the database, which is in my case going to be tomroger_social. We're also going to want to add my MySQL user that we can assign to that database, and I'm going to have full permissions to that database but nothing else. So I'm just going to name my user and I'm going to generate a password. Again, this will be no use to you because it'll be incredibly difficult to remember, and this is just for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to copy that password because I will need it later. I'm now going to create that user. And down here I'm going to go ahead and assign my database to my user. So I'm going to make sure Tom Rogers Tom, which is the one that I just created, is assigned to my social database, and then I'm going to hit add. Like I said, I'm going to give it all permissions specifically to this database. I'm going to hit make changes. Let's go back. And I think we've finished downloading. If I just go to where that file I should have downloaded, we've got the version name here, WordPress MU. So if we just right click that and hit open, it'll unarchive it, so we've got a folder we can work with, and inside there is going to be all the subcontents that we're going to want to upload. So I'm in my FTP software, and as you notice, right now seems like a pretty standard install, but I'm just going to upload it to the social network directory. While it's doing that, I'm going to pause the video. Okay, so after much time, those files have been uploaded to our server. It took a very long time actually. So now what we're going to do with our MySQL database that we set up before in mind, we're going to go over to our directory, which is again social network directory that I just put the files in, and we're going to refresh. So now I'm going to come up with this interface asking us for our information, and it's going to ask us for a few things. It's going to tell us whether we want our social network to for people's blogs to reside in subdirectories or in subdomains. So you're going to choose that. I'm going to leave it as subdomains, and it's going to tell you what you need here, and that's what I just talked about before. But what we're going to do to start off with is we're just going to enter in our details that it asks us for. So you can actually do this through the file, but I find it easier to do it through the nice interface. So I'm just going to fill out my data real quick, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I filled out my information, and well, one thing to note is that you'll likely always leave your database host as local host. Some hosts might say differently, but in general, that's what you want to do if you want to do that. So, one thing you might notice right off the bat is that these installation options are all contained in one screen, whereas with WordPress, traditionally you'd create your database configuration file, and then in a separate screen you'd go on to configure information about your site, the admin email and the title of the website. But here it's all contained into one thing. So I've entered all my information. It's now asking me for my blog title. So again, this is just for demonstration purposes, and I'm gonna create a theme surrounding this, just so it's not about tech. I'm gonna create a social network which says disability talk. Again, this is just for demonstration purposes. It's not a real network. I'm then gonna enter in the email address that I want to use for the site, and I'm gonna hope that everything went okay, and I'm gonna hit submit. It's gonna tell me some details, and it does it in a different, slightly less elegant format than things, but it figures that if you're installing a multi-user blog system, then you're more likely to be a geek. So I guess that figures when I need to copy our administration password that we can change, and then we're going to take into account all this information, and we're going to hit login. We'll then get the standard WordPress login with a couple of customizations. We're now going to log in, and right off the bat we're going to get some stuff here. So right now we've just installed WordPress, and in the next video we're gonna talk about installing some software called bbPress. We're just gonna make this less of a blogging system and more of a social network. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching this video. And on the topic of social networks, if you like this video, please feel free to go over and visit my blog at www.technobuffalo.com/futuretech. Thank you for watching this video, and subscribe for more in this series. Thanks for watching.